Now this video is about some of the unique details of my ROJETT 90 Spitfire Squadron 41 paintwork, and you can watch this in full 4K. All you need to do is adjust your device, the settings knob, just like you would do on any YouTube video. Now on this video I'm going to try to share some of the, I think, unique and very special things about this model that even if you saw this model out on a flying field, you might not notice some of the little intricate details that have gone into it. Some of them you may have passed over, and that they're very unique to me and very different than a lot of other models even I've made. But it may make for some interesting information. I'm going to try to detail out some of the things that make this model just a little unique, just a little different, and it resides up in my Spitfire bedroom. It's the fourth Spitfire I built. I think Joe Adamusco, who designed a lot of this model, I think the reality is he did three, and he did an exact copy of this one. We had two mirror image models, and a lot of this model is just one-of-a-kind stuff, and I don't think it's going to be replicated anytime in the near future. Now, to trace the history of the Spitfires that Joe and I both made, a lot of people might not know, Joe Adamusco designed the wing and tail, and I designed the body, and roughly that's the case. I made the mold for the canopy, Dave Midgley molded the canopy, and a lot of the airfoil and the technology that went into the aerodynamics, Dave Downey and Big Jim Greenaway were both responsible for some part of it, but as it sits, this is the first of the Spitfires that I made, and the blue one that Joe had, that was the first one he made. And one of the things that makes the 90 Spitfire a little bit different from the other two Spitfires and Seafire, not only in the construction, it's powered by a RO-JETT 90. And it was the second model I made powered by a RO-JETT 90, and to this day I still love that motor. And the second one was the Seafire. Joe and I both made bubble canopy models. Again, that canopy that's in there, and I'm going to do a separate video on the Seafire. If people keep hitting the like button, and it looks like a lot of people do like these, just making this canopy, it's a sliding canopy. I got some of the ideas for that from Keith Trussell on his Martin Baker, had something very similar. And this is worthy of a separate video, but this is the second one, the Seafire. And the I-beam Spitfire was the fifth one, and this still resides in the collection of models of Billy Sargent. Now on my 4 trips to Texas, I got to fly Al Rabe's Bearcat, and I got introduced to flying models that had dihedral. And this one, to make, and people don't realize how complicated this gets, to make an elliptical wing instead of, say, a Vico Chief wing, a straight wing, it is a lot more complicated. Laying out the ribs, blending everything in, getting all the aerodynamics right. And of course, Joe was a master of doing that. But this wing has dihedral, and that presents a lot of decisions you have to make along the way to make that happen. It is really, at some point in time, it becomes a super labor of love. But to have an elliptical wing with dihedral, and then to figure out all the controls, the positioning of the lead outs, how you're going to get the flaps to function, there's a lot went into this, and I congratulate Joe. He got it all right. And one of the things makes it even more complex of a model, it's a full take-apart model. Always a lot more time to get all the parts, the fits, the finishes, in by the fillets, all the screws that hold it together. Just becomes a giant labor of love. Now I made a dedicated canopy mold for all of the Spitfires. This one was different because the body is basically a lot more scale, a lot wider, and Dave Midgley molded these, and they are beautiful. The detailing inside, and I'm going to try to get some with the macro lens, the detailing inside is, and I've made many videos about doing cockpit detail, some of it is done with sandpaper, some with very special little pins and gauges and whatnot. And when I do the Seafire video later on, that cockpit, that was a true labor of love. This one is, I think, real nice. It's even got rivet detail on the inside of the bubble part of the canopy. Now, the whole construction of this model is on video. I'm not sure who posted it or how to find it right now, because it's on, I think, Paul Taylor's channel, but I'm not sure, or Walt Brownell's, I'm not sure. But I made many cockpit videos over the years, giving people some ideas of how I did it. Obviously not the only way, but doing it, if you know the steps involved, and you make a little box ahead of time, make the dashboard as a separate piece, carve the seat as a separate piece. If you mold your own canopy, of course, and Dave Midgley, thank you for all the help with that. I always made a dedicated canopy mold for whatever canopy I wanted, and all the little knobs or pins and different things, and in the end, getting it all glued on and sanded in and blended in. But in the end, it just blows people away. Now, I made two models using RO-JETT 90s, the Novanta. Novanta, by the way, means 90 in Italian. And this one, and Joe, if I remember right, I'm sure I have this on video, the first day we brought Joe's 90 Spitfire out, it flew right off the bat. It was just the easiest to trim model ever. It was really, really a piece of cake. Now, some of the other Spitfires had composite molded gear. This one, we went with the traditional gear, and of course I've shown that on video. That's another great way to do it. Very easy to do, very reliable, and it leaves that little edge that makes it very, very realistic. Now, making the blisters for the Griffin engine and the stacks, we had molded stacks on some of these Spitfires. These are aluminum tubes. Again, all the little details, what happens when you go to make a semi-scale model, there's usually one little detail that you didn't think was going to take a long time, and it winds up taking forever. And those stacks and those blisters, they were a true labor of love. Now, every semi-scale model is going to have different little things that, again, they just take forever to do. Little details. The cockpit details in this plane took a really long time. All of the little inking and detailing and riveting and everything that goes into this. Again, that word labor of love. And I capped it off. The little emblem that the British used to put on the nose of the planes, I put as a little tribute to my late Baltimore Oriole friend, Chicky. Now, the paintwork on this model is from a Squadron 41. And that's one of the unique paint jobs. I always liked paint jobs that the tail was red. I had the Tuskegee Airman B-25, the A-26 with the Tuskegee Airman type paint. And when I saw this paint scheme with the red tail, that was very appealing to me. And it just follows all the time that I spent into researching out that paint job, trying to make it look like the Squadron 41. And another thing, that until you actually do it, you will never appreciate how difficult it is to paint roundels. Now, there's no decals. These are not decals or stick-ons or anything. They're paint. And it was really more difficult than I thought it was. When you paint a roundel, it has got to be so accurate. If it's off the thickness of a pen line, your eye catches it immediately that it's all off to one side or it's not even, because it's really in essence like a bullseye. These were difficult. Now, most people that commit to this type of a project, is Dave Downey's little tribute that we put to him as the pilot, most people that commit to this level of work, it becomes a labor of love in the beginning, and it just takes on a life of its own. And that's what this model in particular, well, most of my models, is I'd be trying to figure out how I want to do something, how am I going to do that, how am I going to do this, and one step at a time. And it was like climbing a mountain. Every day I'd get up and figure something else I wanted to do differently, and I wanted to change the inking pattern. I wanted to have a dynamite cockpit, a really drop-dead cockpit. I wanted the ink work to be perfect, and Les Demet was very helpful in my whole modeling life with ink work. He was really, really a master of ink. Now, a lot of my friends that come over to see the model railroad and run the trains from time to time, they're not aware that in the room right next to the trains is my little Spitfire bedroom with these models. And a lot of times, the last time we had guests over here, we spent more time looking at the planes And they would always ask me the question, how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you make it shiny? How do you make the edges so nice and smooth and this and that? Because the truth is, a lot of model railroading skills are very similar to model airplane skills. And so they can appreciate the weathering, and this actually is the little Spitfire down there on my model railroad. It's an O-gauge model railroad, and it's in a room right next door to the Spitfire bedroom. And the model, of course, features a Raby rudder, and that was one of the things that I think made this model so just pleasant and easy to fly. This was probably the easiest one to fly of the four of them. So I hope you did enjoy checking out some of the little features of this model. It resides up in my Spitfire bedroom. It'll probably be there till the day I die. I keep getting these emails from people that would like me to return to the world of stunt now. And in that vein, I'm going to say, this is the dream I have, a recurring dream. If you've ever seen the Godfather movie, you know, at the end of the movie, when basically some of them are passed away or killed, he has a dream. And in his dream, he looks in a reflection of the glass and he sees everybody back in the day when they were all young and just starting out on their careers in being a gangster, I guess. He sees the faces. Now, sometimes I have a recurring dream that someday I'm going to go to the Nats, and everybody from my youth is going to be there. And we're all going to be out there flying and having fun. But, you know, for me right now, it really is a dream, but it's a wonderful dream. And having these models up in my Spitfire bedroom has given me a lot of comfort and a lot of great memories every time I come up here with a cup of coffee. I just look at these and I know the time I spent doing these was time well spent. And I hope you really did enjoy the video. And if you did, again, hit the like button. Share it with your friends, share the hot links, and we'll post, if enough people do that, we'll post up some more. I've had so many nice comments on the video. Again, guys, thanks so much. And several people asked me for specific things, and Warren Walker really started this whole ball rolling with him wanting to see various windy old Spitfire bedrooms and stuff. But it looks like it's taken on a life of its own, and all these models are absolutely ready to put some fuel in and fly. They are sitting in my bedroom right next to the Spitfire bedroom, right next to the train layout. And everybody that ever comes up to the train layout or to this bedroom really enjoys them. So all I can say is, at this point in my life, guys, thanks so much for watching.